Hello everyone, Season 3 recently came out and I've been having a blast with the new Sorcerer Meteor Unique. I've been experimenting with different variants of Meteor and my favorite so far is the Fireball Meteor combo. This build is great for clearing Nightmare Vaults. You can basically speed farm tier 100 vaults with this Meteor build. The idea is simple. Blast your way through the dungeon spamming Fireball and Meteor while extra meteors drop from the sky thanks to the Meteor enchantment. As you can see in the clip, it melts through the vault with ease and it's a lot of fun. In this guide I'll show you the build and how it works. In our skill tree we put 2 points in Firebolt just to unlock the next tree. They are not important since we don't use the Firebolt enchantment. We continue down and put 5 points in Fireball with Enhanced Fireball and Greater Fireball. 1 point in Frozen Orb to use it for our enchantment. It procs a lot and helps us keep enemies chilled and proc the T100 and Elementalist damage multipliers by dealing cold damage. We also put 1 point in Devastation and 3 points in Elemental Dominance for another damage boost. We continue further down in the defensive cluster and we put 1 point on all 4 defensive spells, along with Enhanced Teleport, Shimmering Teleport, Enhanced Ice Armor and Enhanced Frost Nova. We also put 3 points in Glass Cannon for the damage multiplier and 1 point in Elemental Attunement. We don't need more than 1 point here because this effect can only happen once every 10 seconds and we have enough lucky hit to ensure it does happen. Further down in the Conjuration cluster we put 3 points in Precision Magic. It gives lucky hit and we can't have enough of that. 1 point in Align the Elements, 3 points in Mana Shield and 3 points in Protection. The Protection passive is just crazy in this build because with our new unique, Meteor becomes a cooldown, and every time we cast Meteor or we proc the Meteor enchantment we the barrier from this passive. Yeep, this things works with the Meteor enchantment. Further down in the Mastery tree we put 5 points in Meteor, with Enhanced Meteor and Mage's Meteor. We also take 3 ranks in Inner Flames and Devouring Blaze and 1 rank in Crippling Flames. We continue down and put 1 point in Permafrost to unlock the Hoarfrost passive which gives us a damage multiplier to chilled and frozen enemies. Enemies will be chilled from the Frozen Orb enchantment and frozen with our Frost Nova, so it's a good damage boost. We also put 3 ranks in Fiery Surge to help us maintain our mana. For our key passive we go for Esu's Ferocity. And for our enchantments we use Frozen Orb and Meteor. Now gear choices. For the helm we use the new Meteor Unique. You can target farm this from Beast in Ice. As for the chest, we go for a defensive choice. Total armor, max life, 2 damage reduction rolls and we use Disobedience aspect to reach the armor cap. You need 13,200 armor for tier 100 dungeons. You could put Juggernaut aspect here but I don't like the downside of having a long evade cooldown so I prefer Disobedience. For gloves we go for Gloves of the Illuminator. It gives great stats and makes our Fireball bounce, which means each cast will hit the enemies more times, which means more chances for the Meteor enchantment to proc. For pants we go with a defensive one again. Same thing with the chest and we use the Everliving aspect on it which will always be active in this build. For boots we go with Esu's as they provide great movement, crit chance, and mana cost reduction. For our weapon we use a wand because we need the lucky hit and we go for all stats, intelligence and 2 damage rolls, preferably critical strike damage. We use aspect of 3 curses on it to boost our critical strike damage with Fireball and Meteor. And for our focus we go with crit chance, lucky hit, and cooldown reduction with Shattered Stars aspect. The extra meteorites provide a good boost in damage because they can proc the Meteor enchantment and Zapple. For our amulet we need a total armor roll. The rest can be flexible, lucky hit, mana cost reduction, cooldown reduction, ranks to mastery skills or ranks to Devouring Blaze. I don't recommend ranks to Glass Cannon because it makes us squishier. We use the Conceited aspect on it. It's a great damage boost and it will always be active since we always have a barrier with this build. For our rings we go with Zapple and T100. T100 provides great stats and damage multipliers and Zapple's effect procs a lot with our high lucky hit chance. And for our gems, we put rubies on armor, emeralds on weapons, and skull on rings. For our Paragon board we start by taking the magic and rare nodes in our starting board. Non-physical damage nods boosts the legendary nod multipliers we will take in the next boards and resistance to all elements helps us reach the 70% resistance cap. Max life nods are also useful in this season because they changed how they are calculated. They scale better now and they provide a much better bonus to our max life than before. In our first socket we put the Elementalist glyph. It gives a good damage multiplier and boosts important nods in the board. For our next board we take Searing Heat, and for our socket we use the Control glyph. Enemies will be chilled thanks to Frozen Orb enchantment, so it's a flat 10% damage multiplier that can go up to 20% when enemies get frozen from our Frozen Nova. We also grab the legendary nod in this board, which provides critical strike chance on our Fireball and Meteor and boosts our fire damage. We don't go to the right side just yet, instead we go left and attach the Icefall board. We use the Tactician glyph in this socket, which gives us another damage multiplier when we use a defensive skill and also boosts the damage reduction from chilled enemies nod and boosts our defenses. We continue up and attach the Enchantment Master board for our third board. We use Reinforced glyph in this socket as it provides 15% damage reduction while we have a barrier, and we always have a barrier with this build. It also boosts the non-physical damage and resistance nods around. We take the other non-physical damage nods in the board and we continue right and attach the Burning Instinct board. We use the Destruction glyph in the socket for another damage multiplier and a boost to our critical strike damage, which is also boosted by the multiplier with the aspect of the 3 curses on our gear and our key passive from the skill tree. We also take the damage reduction nod here to boost our survivability. And for our last board we attach Frigid Fate to the right of Searing Heat. We take the legendary nod here as it's another damage multiplier, and for our socket we use the Pyromaniac glyph. We also take the nods that give lucky hit because we can't have enough of it. As for our pet, we use Tempest and Flash of Adrenaline for our governing stones. Support stones for Tempest are resource to help us with our mana regen, breaking to keep enemies vulnerable, and arcing to help spread vulnerable to all the enemies. And the supporting stones for Flash of Adrenaline are tactical to lower the cooldown of Adrenaline, and Safeguard and Fortify helps with our survivability in high-tier dungeons. You can swap one of those two for duration if you feel you are tanky enough to have maximum uptime on Adrenaline. Unfortunately, I haven't found the unique stones yet, but if you do, I recommend putting Genesis on Adrenaline to boost its damage multiplier and Evernight on Tempest to get permanent 4 ranks in all your skills. That's the build. It's really fun for dungeons and can easily clear tier 100 vaults with it, but it's not the best for boss killing, unfortunately. I'm still experimenting with Meteor variants to find one which will be good for bosses. I'll put a link in the description with the build planner, and you can check my other video for a showcase of a tier 100 vault. Thanks for watching.